Happy holidays, everyone. I am Richmond, and today I am thrilled to have you all here today for a deep dive into the topic that resonates with many of us. My journey with the EB-2 NIW has been both enlightening and transformative, and I'm really excited to share my insights and experiences with you all. Thank you for joining today's webinar, and I hope you would learn a lot from this. Alrighty, let's talk about the agenda for today. We have quite a packed agenda. So in our session today, for the introduction, we'll discuss briefly about the current economic market and its implication to the international students and other topics that would arise. We will also explore the nuts and bolts of the EB-2 NIW visa process, and then we'll talk about my journey, unravel some common myths, and discuss some strategies to getting ahead of this process. And if we have time, we would open up the floor for questions and answers. So I'm excited again. Let's embark on this journey together. So let's dive into introduction. So the first I want us to discuss on the current job market and how it is affecting international graduate students. I'm sure some of you or most of us, we do watch the news, we do read the news, just so we have an understanding of what is happening around. But just so some of us forget, it is very important for us to understand the current job market, because not only does it inform us what is happening on the market, it also helps us in our preparation towards when we are about to finish school, how we want to put ourselves our best foot forward to be able to secure a job. So on a broader scale, the current job market is so tough right now. We all know since the 2020, there has been a lot of layoffs happening. And to date, there are still layoffs that are happening. If my numbers are right, in 2022, there are about 6 million people that were laid off. And as of June 2023, about 163,000 people have been laid off. These numbers are not to scare you, but to create the awareness of how tough the market is right now. And so if you are a graduate student, I think this is the right time to think about, first of all, if you want to enter into the job market, which I believe all of us want to, you have to think about the strategies you would have to put in place to be able to put your best foot forward in order to secure a job. The second piece of it is, this is not the right time to rely on companies to sponsor your permanent residency. So it is a good time for you to think about how you can, in your own way, secure your permanent residency. The second point is the availability of technical and non-technical roles for international graduate students. We all are aware that the US economy, most of the technical roles, particularly, most of the international graduate students are the ones that normally fill this role. And even for some non-technical roles as well, we do find some of us also filling these roles. But for the past few years, rumors have it that a lot of the top level executives in these big companies, they are traveling a lot outside of the US. And the reason is they are trying to go and secure businesses outside of the US. And so I can speak for a country like India, and no offense to people from India. I work with a lot of Indians. They're very smart people. But there are a lot of work that has been outsourced, or there is going to be outsourced to our friends in India. And what that means is a lot of jobs which are going outside will have less jobs in the US that a lot of us international students are going to compete with, even people with permanent residency. So again, having this information should also help you as you plan ahead before you graduate from school, or even as you are in school. This information about a lot of jobs being outsourced outside of the US should also play a role in how you want to come out, in how you want to think about your permanent residency. And the last point is, and this is a question I always throw to people when they come to me for advice, is do you see a lot of companies advertising job roles that require or that would help whoever fills the position to get the permanent residency, or even like H1B? For me personally, for some time now, I go through LinkedIn, look at some of the job postings, and I can say some of the jobs that in 2020, those are technical jobs in 2020 that had this kind of extra information attached, like this position requires limited sponsorship. Now you find most of these roles, these positions are saying they are not sponsoring. So what does that tell you as an international student? It tells you this is the right time to be wise and to be very proactive in terms of how you want to think about your permanent stay in this country. And today, this is the reason why I organized this webinar, to kind of create the awareness that yes, even though you can rely on your companies for permanent residency, it is a risky venture, it is a risky business or a risky line to take. There are many ways you can actually secure your permanent residency in this country, and that is what I did. And today, that is what I want to share with you. So I am glad you came to this webinar, and I hope you will get all of the insights and the practical advice for you to be able to take the next course of action in terms of securing your permanent residency as we enter the year 2024. Something I always like to share with people is, and especially students, we think we have enough time, but the truth of the matter is time flies by quickly than we think. And I can just remember when I came into this country a few years back, it seems like just yesterday. So in actual sense, if you have 2 years, if you have 4 years, bachelor's or PhD, 5 years, whatever the amount of time that you were given, trust me, time flies so quickly. And the second point I also want to harness is, as we come as students, something I've also noticed is we come without a plan. We just come to the country with all of these information about US, like things are so easy, you can easily secure a job. Things have changed. Gone are the days where, and I'm told by my uncle that gone are the days when a company employ you, you get like relocation assistance, you get all sort of bonuses just to make you so happy so you don't accept the competitor's offer. Gone are the days. There's nothing like that anymore. And so if you come into this country without a plan as to how to extend your stay, I'm sad to tell you, you might finish school and things might be very complicated and you might not know what to do. And this is something that we should avoid. So if you're a student, and especially if you are an international student, be a student with a plan. And last but not least is just to encourage you is, as long as you are intentional about planning, especially planning after school what next, even though all our plans do not come or do not fall into place, it is better than not planning at all. So just to encourage you, know that it always works out. As long as we're doing the right thing, taking the necessary actions, and being intentional about how we want to extend our stay in this country, I think it always works out. So be encouraged, be motivated, even though the current job market is not as good as it used to, but always be of the mentality and mindset that it always works out. This is perhaps one of the most interesting sections for me, because personally it took me a very long time to understand the whole of the EB-2 NIW visa category process. And let me share this story with you. So when I came into the US, I believe about in my second semester, I had this good friend whose brother had already secured his permanent residency. And so the first time I heard was from that friend who was telling me about how his brother got the NIW, EB-2. And the conversation was about his brother is super smart. He has a lot of publications in top tier journals with more than 100 plus citations. And so with this information that my friend gave me, if you wear my shoe, I'm like, dude, I don't think in 2 years I'll be able to get what his brother was able to accomplish. Although his brother had a PhD degree, I'm not a person that I see myself being able to be out there getting 100 plus citation publishing in top tier journals. So the information I had, the first information I had was somehow very misleading. And so in my mind, it's only people with PhD with a lot of citations in top tier journals are able to go through this route. Fast forward, when I was about finishing school, I happened to call a friend whose husband had gone through the EB-2 process. And then she mentioned that his husband, although had a PhD degree, did not have any publications or citations. So by yesterday, he was able to get the approval. And so it was then my friend mentioned to me, oh, you have master's degree. You should be able to apply for an IW. And then it just occurred to me to go out and find for myself what exactly are the requirements for the EB-2 NIW. And so I'm excited to share this information with you. If you've been misled before, I am here to give you the right information. Alrighty, so all of this information that I am about to share with you is directly from the USCIS website. And so if you doubt any information I'm giving you right now, I have also included the link to the website. You can read it for yourself. So let's unravel the bottleneck of what EB-2 NIW visa category is all about. So this is how the USCIS defines this visa category, that it is only given to foreign people, foreign nationals. So in this case, we are international students. So for international students, we can only get this visa category as long as we have advanced degree or we have an exceptional ability in certain fields that the USCIS people, they deem is of national importance to the US government. Now, there are basically two things that I've highlighted here, right? Advanced degree and exceptional ability. My understanding and from little research that a lot of international students that comes here, more than 60% of us are into graduate programs, whether STEM or non-STEM program. And so for the first criteria, which I believe anyone listening to me either has master's degree or have PhD or is in the process of securing the PhD or the master's degree. So basically for this visa category, if you were to judge yourself, you meet the first criteria of having an advanced degree. And then there's an exceptional ability. I'll leave this words for the next slides and we'll talk more about exceptional ability. But I want you to understand something. The USCIS are always looking for three things. Basically, they call it prongs in law, three prongs. It's more like a justification as to why we should give you the visa category. They are looking for three things or three prongs to be able to say, okay, Mr. XY, you meet all the criteria, and so we don't have any option than to give you or to waive off the labor certification and give you your EB-2. Now, the first one is the proposed endeavor or your proposed endeavor should be of substantial merit and national importance. Of course, the whole idea about EB-2 is for the US government to retain talent that they deem that whatever they are doing or they will do would be of national importance. Mind you, it doesn't matter what exactly you're doing, as long as you're able to justify that whatever you are doing, whether you've started work already or you are in school studying something to become something or become somebody, whatever you intend to do would be of substantial merit and national importance. The second piece of it is you should be well positioned to execute the proposed endeavor. Now, they are using proposed endeavor to mean that it is not only people who are already working, so there are people who are already working in the area of field they studied in, but there are also category of people who are studying to become or to work in an area of field. So let's say somebody is studying PhD in statistics. Probably the person's proposed endeavor or the person's mentality or future of work is to become like a professor in statistics, mathematics, or go into the industry and become a data scientist, whatever that requires him to use his skill set. So in that case, the person's proposed endeavor is to become a professor in the future or become a data scientist. Either way, the person should be able to justify that if he is to become a professor or he is to become a data scientist, whatever he's going to do would be of national importance. Now, the second piece which talks about the work position, it ties to the point one, because it ties to the point one as well as you have an advanced degree. Now, work position means that if you say you want to become a data scientist, you want to become a professor in statistics, you want to become a medical doctor, a nurse, systems engineer, whatever you want to become, you are well positioned in terms of your foundation. That means it goes back to you having an educational background to be able to have the requisite or the relevant skills to be able to deliver on your proposed endeavor. If you have the experience also in your proposed endeavor, it is also considered as well positioned. And something that a lot of people miss out is also the timing factor, because you could also have a proposed endeavor that is of substantial merit, but then because the visa category takes a while, at most 2 years, but looking at the current economic situation with a lot of backlog, it could be a little while, but it is still better than going through a company securing your permanent residency for you. So the timing factor also plays a role here. So not only your educational background or your job experience, you should be well positioned in terms of your time to be able to live in this country, to be able to execute the proposed endeavor. And we'll talk about that also in the future slides. And the last point is, if you are meeting these first two criteria, your proposed endeavor is of substantial merit, you are well positioned to deliver what you say you would become or you've proposed, then you are saying the USCIS people should actually waive off your job offer and give you a permanent residency. So for most of the people that goes through employers to get or gain their permanent residency, I believe it's the EB-3. So what normally happens is there's something they call PEM certification. What that is all about is, if for example you were hired, I'll use myself an example. I was hired as a consultant in people analytics. What it means is, if my company is sponsoring my green card, then in the process, in the PEM certification process, they should be able to post my job, which is consultant people analytics, online, and wait for some amount of time, I believe 6 to 18 months at most, to be able, so they do that just so if people who have permanent residency and are here have the skill set and they apply for the role, then what that means is, well, then my role, somebody already has the skill set, is well positioned to deliver. So why should they, approve my PEM certification for me? But in this case, in this visa category, that is waived off. There is nothing like a PEM certification. So that is the advantage of going through the EB-2 NIW visa category, because the PEM certification, I believe, takes at most 18 months. It could be more, depending on the current economic situation. So that 18 or more month has been taken off. In that case, going through the EB-2 route, it is going to be much more faster. I digress, but back to my case of what I'm trying to talk about is, as long as you have an advanced degree or exceptional ability and you are able to satisfy all of these three prongs, that your proposed endeavor is of substantial merit, you are well positioned to execute, and then you are saying, based on these first 2 points, your USCI should waive off your PEM certification, then it means USCIS will be convinced, if they are able to find a justification in these three prongs, to grant to you your EB-2 NI visa. Alright, so let's dig deeper into the eligibility criteria for the EB-2. So we spoke about the advanced degree in our previous slide, and we also spoke about the exceptional ability. So again, just to recap, basically, to be able to get approval for your EB-2 NIW, you have to satisfy those two criteria. You have an advanced degree, which is master's or PhD, or even if you have a bachelor's degree, you should have 5 years of experience. And the second point is the exceptional ability. I'm sure all of you are curious, what is exceptional ability? Because this is more like a subjective English word, I always say. But this is how it is defined on the USCIS website. That the exceptional ability, what it means is, if you have the exceptional ability, you should have an expertise above and beyond your counterparts in the area of field you are looking for a job. So what that means is, if I want to apply for a role as a people analytics consultant, exceptional ability for in my case would be justified as me having a certain degree of expertise above my colleagues to be able to get a job. So it is just like, again, that is how it is defined. But USCIS, they've been very tough enough to give us exactly the documentations to prove exceptional ability. So I'll go through all of these, and it says you should be able to demonstrate at least 3 of the following to show exceptional ability in your proposed endeavor or your area of interest or your area you want to pursue. So the first one is an official academic record or a transcript or a certification. And I think this is very easy for everybody to get, right? If you have your master's degree, you have a transcript. If you have a PhD, you have a transcript. you have your certificate. Even if you are still in the process of finishing your PhD or your master's degree, and you feel like you are in a position to apply for NIW, transcript would also help you in the meantime. But the first point to demonstrate exceptional ability, I believe everyone would be able to get this. Very easy, right? Very easy. So the second point is you should have letters documenting 10 or more years of full-time experience. And now I'm not sure how many years of experience you have, but I certainly don't have that much years of experience. But what it means is even with the years of experience, let's take for example, you are a teacher. If the government or if USCIS is requesting or requiring that you document 10 years of experience, then what it means is your 10 years of experience should be in a related job function. So if you are a teacher, let's say teaching mathematics or statistics, whatever, you should be teaching statistics or mathematics in the 10 years, or you should be doing something related to the application of statistics or mathematical methods. So in that case, you could be a data analyst in the 10 years, or you could be a data scientist in the 10 years, software engineer, anything that would require you to utilize your knowledge in something you studied, right? So like in that case, math. So that is what it means. So you cannot be, let's say for example, you were a driver, you change to a teacher, you change to a pastor, like all unrelated jobs that has nothing to do with your foundational knowledge. So that is something you need to be aware of. The third point is a license or certification to practice the profession. And I think this is fair, right? If you are supposed to demonstrate exceptional ability, professional certifications and license is one way for you to demonstrate. I know in the US, nurses, they have a professional exam they need to take. That is to demonstrate how exceptional they are in their field, and the same applies to doctors. And so for the USCIS to be able to know you have that kind of exceptional ability over your counterpart, even though you don't know who you're comparing yourself with, having a professional certification or license should be one way to determine an exceptional ability. Now, I believe every program you studied here in the US should have like a professional body that actually have like professional certifications. Even if they don't have a professional body, there should be some professional certification that you can write. So for example, I'll use myself again. I am in the people analytics field. So basically I am using the application of statistics, data analysis, machine learning techniques, everything else to analyze employees' data and gain insights and then share the insights. So for me, what can I write? What certification can I write? Since I do machine learning related stuff, they of course professional certification in machine learning, and we have the cloud machine learning. So we have AWS machine learning specialty, we have DevOps engineering there as well. We have Azure, we have different certifications that shows and that shows a certain level of expertise in what you are doing. The same cannot be applied to you. If you are in engineering, you definitely have professional certifications that you do. If you are in nursing, the same thing. Whatever field you are in, there is always a certification that would help you establish yourself as an exceptional person above and beyond your colleagues. So if you know one, if you think you have no idea what kind of certification you need, you can just ask around, ask your mentors, just Google around. Even like if you're working already, talk to your bosses. I'm sure you would definitely find a certification that is aligned to your area of work. The fourth point is documentation of salary or remuneration. So for those of us that are working, we know, and it's kind of correlated, right? If your skill set is rare, companies are willing to pay you more to secure your services. So in that case, they pay you more. But this is also kind of subjective, because take somebody, for instance, who's a software engineer in California versus a software engineer in Tennessee. If they both show you their salary, you might think the person in California is earning more, but then when you consider the geographical location, it tends to make much more sense that okay, you can do a comparison there. But in this piece, you would ask, like, how high would a salary be to be able to justify exceptional ability? Again, it depends on the kind of work you do, and even in the department you are in, left alone the locations and other factors. And so I wouldn't stress so much on this. If you are going through a lawyer, the lawyer will be the best person to say, oh, your salary is low or your salary is high. Or I can give you like a benchmark. The nationwide average salary is, I believe, 60,000. So maybe you can use that as a benchmark, to see if you qualify or not. The next point is membership in one or more professional associations. And this is really important, because, again, let me draw a line here, because you can easily find any association and join. But the idea is to join those professional bodies. They would accept you because you have a certain exceptional ability. Even if the requirement for joining the membership is you should have like a master's degree, that again also establishes exceptional ability. Let me take an example: the PMI, Professional Management Institute, the body that offers the PMP exams, the agile certifications and stuff like that. To be able to be a member, you have to have a certain number of years of experience doing project management. And so anybody that joins the body, it is automatically assumed that the person has an exceptional ability. That is why the person was accepted in the first place. Of course, there are other members association or associations that don't have those strict rules. But as long as you are part of an association, let's say in statistics, we have the American Statistical Association, Actuarial Science, they have the ASA, they have different variations of association. The same for engineering, I think they have black engineers or something like that. But the point is, if whatever area you studied in, if there's a professional body, just join or be part of it. Just don't, and don't just join, be very active. And I always advise people, it is to your benefit to join an association and be very active. By being active, you take on certain roles. And this is a plus for you, because in the future, not only is it going to help you demonstrate your exceptional ability, but if you need extra resources in terms of recommendation, if you are very active in the professional body, it is an easy way for you to get recommendation for your case. So just don't join the association, be very active in it. The last but one point is recognition of any achievement. And I know I've had questions about it, that, oh, I had recognition and achievement when I was doing my bachelor's degree. Yes, it counts. Mind you, EB-2 NIW is not for only people in the US. There are a lot of people outside of the country that are still going through this process to get their permanent residency. So if you have any recognition and achievement outside of the country, please, it is also relevant. If you have recognition here in the US, in school, at work, whatever, also add it to it. If you went to what is it called, like do a presentation, research presentation, and you got recognition, certifications for it, please add it to it. Anything that made you recognized, even like you were a TA, teaching assistant or graduate assistant, and you were given recognition, this is all part of setting you apart from your colleagues or demonstrating exceptional ability. And the last piece is if you have other comparable evidence. So even though it is not mentioned here, I know a lot of people also do peer review. I did that as well. So it is something that you can also note, because it takes people with exceptional ability to criticize other people's work. So with that said, looking at all of these definitions by USCI that defines what an exceptional ability is, just look through and judge by yourself if you have at least 3 of these. If you do, I think you have a case, and then you should be very proactive in trying to see if you can find a good lawyer to guide you in this process. All right, so let's talk about why EB-2 NIW should be a top of mind for international students. Again, I'm not going to go into the statistics with H1B, what happened last year. We know almost like 1 million people petitioned for H1B, which is very outrageous. Out of this 1 million, I think the cap is 80,000. So you do the math and see your rate of, or the chance of getting H1B. I believe it's around 11%, whatever it is, but it's a very small number. But anyway, going through the EB-2 NIW, why it should be a top of mind for you. Of course, we all want an easy route to permanent residency, and this offers exactly that. it's good to be on H1B. I am currently on H1B and I still have my NIW approval, but comparatively, it is easier for me to get my green card compared to being on H1B, because with the H1B, different companies have different policies. And I know with the H1B, some companies would require you, would want you to wait until you renew the second time. So basically, you would have like 3 years for the company to basically help you with your permanent residency. In the 3 years, a lot can happen. Today, I read on Reddit about somebody who is on his last year of green card process by his company, which is the EB-3, and then the PEM certification has been paused. So basically, the person would never be able to get his green card on time. And so what basically the person was saying was his company advised him that when his visa, H1B visa expires, he should go outside of the country and stay there for like 5 to 6 months, whatever the duration is, unpaid, right? It is unpaid. And the person's like, how do I feed my family? Blah, blah, blah. But those are some of the risk or the challenges that comes with companies sponsoring your green card for you. But this is very an easy route to the permanent residency because the PEM is waived off, and it's going to be one of the points I'm going to mention here. Again, you don't depend on your employees, I beg your pardon. This is something you can do by yourself, or you can go to a lawyer and the lawyer will help you. So the benefit of this is it is a risk you are taking, and if any lawyer finds your case very appealing, it is an easy process. Like, you relax, and it's a very fast and smooth process. And so the fact that you're not dependent on employers is a big thing, right? Because I know people have their green cards and they're like, how many months should I work before I leave the company, so I don't have like people like saying, oh, he was waiting for the green card to leave. All those kind of noise, you just avoid it. And then, because you technically are doing it by yourself. And this point I had already mentioned before, like bypassing the labor process, the labor certification process. Basically, it is called national interest waiver because the PEM certification process is being waived off. That makes it a very short time from when you start the process to when you get your green card or you get your permanent residency. That is why, again, it's also an easy route to the permanent residency. This is not a lottery system, right? And it has a very high approval. In Q3 of 2023, the approval was almost like 90%. And I believe on average from the beginning of the year of 2023 till date, until end of Q3, it was hovering around like 85%. This approval used to be very high, but now a lot of people are using this route to secure for themselves the permanent residency. So, of course, the USCIS people are like, okay, let's make things a little bit tighter. But then again, almost like 90% compared to 11% in an H1B. Plus, in H1B is a lottery system, so you might never know you get picked or not. But this is a very high approval rate. So if you ever feel you have the case, please go ahead and do it. They also introduced premium processing recently, and so you can actually get your approval of your NIW as short as 15 days, which is good. Like, especially when you're on a time crunch. This is the best news you can ever hear. And the last is, it takes a very short time to green, like I mentioned, right? Once the PEM certification is taken off, it's actually reduces the amount of time between when you start versus when you get your green card. And so on average, you're looking at most 2 years or less. In my case, my approval came in. I started a process in, well, I have to go check my timeline, but it is not 2 years. It is not 2 years yet. But I'm very hopeful by June, July, I should get my green card. So again, it's a very short time for you to be able to get your green card and get your peace of mind. All right, so let's talk briefly about my journey, which I know most of you are kind of very intrigued and waiting forward to hear. So let me start about my background. So basically, between 2017, I came to the US in 2017, and between 2017 and 2020, basically I was in school studying mathematics. I specialized in statistics and operations research. And along the way, I believe in 2019, I did a second master's. I did it just so I could put myself in a better position in terms of securing a job in the US market, because I tend to kind of have a feeling like things are gonna get tough in the future. So it really helped, and I'm glad I did that. So yeah, between 2017 and 2022, basically I was in school studying to meet the first criteria of advanced advanced degree. But 2020 when when I was done with school was when I contacted my friend who gave me all the information. And so between 2020 and 2022, basically I was just doing self preparation. I was publishing works. I was writing certifications. I joined professional bodies. I also did a lot of networking, and I also used the opportunity to shop around for immigration lawyers, basically for profile evaluations. And I started my case basically in September, yeah, second week in September in 2022. And very early in April 2023, I got my approval. So basically, the USCIS people received my packet or my package on the 13th of April, and about 5 working days on the 19th, I got my case approved. That is why on the previous slide I told you, because of the premium processing, even if you're on a time crunch, they try to make everything faster for you as well. Although this is not the end after the NIW process, which would be another topic of discussion, it is something that puts your mind at peace, knowing for sure within a short time you get your green card. Now let's talk about how it all started. So I put my journey into three different categories, right? The information gathering and planning phase, the building my case phase, and then of course taking the risk. But the most important thing about this session is for you to avoid information gathering stage, and probably you definitely do planning, but of course you save yourself some time to be able to do this faster than I did, because if I knew certain information I would have started my process earlier, and by now I should have had my green card. But anyway, that is the reason for this session. So basically during the first phase, that is in 2020, what I did was, when my friend told me about that I do qualify, I started reading a lot about it on social media. I reached out to friends, basically through like recommendation, like, oh, I know a friend who also did it. But the funny thing is, all of the people that I was recommended to, they were PhD students. So there was nobody in the category of masters that actually I could take hope in. But either ways, I still was bent on going through this process. So I did a lot of self-reading and self-seeking information on the USCIS website, and that was where I also found out, oh, I have advanced degree. I read the exceptional ability, and I felt I met more than at least three of them. So I'm like, okay, bingo. Let me try to build a case and see how best it to go. And something that we always, and I already mentioned in some previous slides, is we come without a plan. But I think it's very important. Even when we're in school, we should develop a plan. So for me, and wanting to go through this process, my plan was basically simple. One, basically I wanted to publish my master's thesis, because I could not compare myself with PhD students, right? If PhD students are going for this route, I should be able to show, like, even though I don't have a PhD degree, I should be able to show I'm at par, with something. And so I felt, okay, at least I did not have a very strong case in the beginning, but when I have some research work and a little citations, I might be able to build a good case for some lawyer to take on my case and help me with this process. So I published my work, my master's thesis, and I also plan to intentionally seek citations for my work. So I read out to a lot of friends, and some of them who are listening to me knows I call them, just begging them to cite my master's thesis in their work, whatever they are doing, whether it is like thesis work or final thesis or mini project, whatever. I just beg them to cite their works. I also plan to publish more work, and also I plan to intentionally network. This was very critical because for my friend's husband who got the approval, I think his strongest case was his recommenders. He had very good recommenders. And so I looked at my network and I realized, oh, no, I need to kind of be better at networking to find the relevant people, like people with authority, to be able to give recommendation when I need. So I also plan to do that. And then the last one was I developed a backup plan to go back to school to do my PhD. And I also wanted to go to Canada. And I was fortunate that I work with a global company, so I had some connection in other countries that I nearly fell to, because I really got an opportunity to move outside of the country, but like, no, this will work out, so I'll stay and see it through. But yeah, so that was the information gathering and planning phase. So for you in this section, all you have to do is develop a plan, like whatever you want to do to ensure your case is really solid. Just have a plan for it. So the next piece is building my case. So in 2020, when I was about to defend my thesis, I actually published the link to my the Zoom link on LinkedIn. So what happened was, a lot of people who were interested in my line of work, and basically they were already in the industry, they attended my defense. And so after my presentation, I got a lot of messages like on LinkedIn, like, wow, this was very impressive, good work, blah blah blah. So organically, I got networked to people who were in my area of field, and that was how I was able to build a very good network. So I utilize social media to create awareness of my master's thesis, and also to create professional network. And of course, the most important thing is, if you want to go use a lawyer, start reaching out to lawyers to do profile evaluations, like where you sit. They would advise you, okay, do A, B, C, D. Sometimes they might exaggerate, but as long as you're able to take some steps, I think you would have a good case. So reach out to immigration lawyers for profile evaluations. Most of them should be free. So basically, you just send them your resume, and then they'll come back to you with all sort of law and tell you, because of ABC, I'll take on your case, stuff like that. So do that as well. And also, I realize I'm not the kind of person who would definitely go into like research. So what I did was, I reached out to friends who did their master's thesis in my area, in my line of area. So basically, it was kind of similar, because I know most of my colleagues, once they are done with their master's thesis, they were not going to publish, right? Just like we did for bachelors. I don't think, I mean, the serious people publish. For us, we didn't even publish our bachelor's degree, which is a mistake. If I knew, I would have published my bachelor's degree project. But anyways, I reached out to my friends who did their master's thesis in my area of work. And I told them, hey, I can help you publish your work, but then I am going to put my name as a second author, and I am also going to cite my work because it's the same line of work. So basically, I had two people who said, yeah, why not? And they gave me their work. I went through, did corrections, I did some few things, I did some few words, and cited my work. So that was how come I was able to get citations, few citations in a short while. As well as publications. So basically, I have 3 publications. One is my actual publications, and 2 from friends that I took their work and kind of modified it and cited myself. So you can also do something like that, but it all depends on you. This is something I felt was one of the ways I could get ahead and get more publications and get more citations. And so what I did was, I published a couple more research work based on getting these from my friends, and then I also wrote certifications, PMP, AWS. Right now I have about 6 AWS certifications, but at that time I believe I had like 4, and 3 were like specialty exams within my domain, DevOps, I believe, machine learning specialty, and data analytics. And I also joined professional associations, so ASA, PMI, Data Science Association. Like I mentioned, you definitely have like an association or a group of body that is regulating your area of field, your chosen career or your chosen educational background. Just join them. Okay, so that was how come I built my case, or the ways I built my case, and that was between 2020 to 2022. So it took me almost like 1.5 years, or almost like, let's say, 2 years, right, to build my case. And then finally, once I felt ready, I reached out to, or I felt I have a good case, I reached out to immigration lawyers again, and I got rejections, but 2 lawyers said, yeah, you have a case, we'll work with you. So I ended up working with the one who would offer me money back guarantee. Of course, who doesn't want it, right? It's like, if I win, yeah. If I don't win, you give me back my money. I'm like, yeah. So I signed a retainer, I think in September of 2022. So that is just how it all started. This is just to tell you, it is a process. You just don't get up to say, I am going to do NIW. Unless you've been doing this for a very long time and you feel ready, then you can start the process. But if you are somebody like me who never started and now about to start, you have to be very intentional, very strategic. Give yourself some time. If you don't have much time, again, I always tell people just go and do your PhD, and whilst you're in there, try to get more, 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 more documentation to support your case. But either ways, this was all the journey. This is all how it started and how it ended for my journey. This is my personal journey. So this is very important. What actually worked for me? So I just took a snapshot of my profile evaluation form, the lawyer I used, and this is what it said. I don't know if the screen is big enough, but let me highlight my strength. So my strength was publications and citations. Mind you, my citations were only 8 at that time, and my publications were just 3. So the 3, one is mine, 2 are not mine. 2, I'm just the second author. So again, it doesn't really matter if you are first, second, third, 20th author. As long as your name is in there, it's still your publication, right? And then it says my professional membership and my professional certification. So you see, I got the right information to how to prepare myself or build my case, and I just worked on it, and it worked. And the beauty about this is the lawyer said I had 95% chance of getting approved, which is awesome. Even with me, the 5% that was not here, I was a bit skeptical, but the lawyer said I was going to give your money back if I don't win this case for you. I'm like, okay, let's go for it. I want you to focus on something here, right? So this is my Google Scholar. So you can see now I have like 9 citations. I think I have like 11 now because on ResearchGate I have 2 people who have cited. I don't even know how that works. But either ways, I want you to know that you don't really have to publish on top tier journals. In my experience, I published on ResearchGate. ResearchGate is like a Facebook, like, right? It's just an open source academic community where people just dump things, or they are looking for collaborators. Like, so you can find researchers, scientists, students. Anybody can put something there, right? It is free, very easy. Just put it there. People will read your work, people will cite your work because it is an academic community. And to the USCIS people, it still counts, right? Like I said, you don't have to publish in top tier journal. That is really stress. I'll be honest with you, because I tried that with my first master's thesis, and I got rejection upon rejection, giving me all sort of crap. Like, you are not contributing to whatever, plenty of stuff, right? I mean, like, okay, well, I'm not discouraged. So I'm like, okay, let me be smart about this. So I published on ResearchGate. But my first master's thesis, I published on ARXIV. I think it is a Cornell academic publication community. That is quite, the ARXIV is quite, they follow some strict rules. So it is not all publication that they will take. But that is also, like, in terms of the stress level compared to a top tier journal, that is very less stressful. But I would say just forget about the ARXIV. Publish all your work on ResearchGate or even on Publon. Those are free, and you would have statistics and numbers to back your case. And this is what I mean. So recently I went to ResearchGate to take a snapshot of all of my work, right? All of my publications. In fact, when I use the word publication, it sounds like I'm really smart, but it's really not publication. These are master's theses, right? It's like they forced me to do it, and I did it. But anyways, regardless, I went to ResearchGate to see what I have there. So you can see the first one, which is my actual project work. I have 2 citations from there, and then I have about 664 reads. So what happens is the algorithm on ResearchGate is anytime somebody clicks on your work, it counts as read. And you can also have numbers or statistics broken down by geographies or even the kind of people that read. Because I remember when I was submitting my case, writing my proposed endeavor, I added all of these, the kind of people that read my work: PhD holders, professors from this country, like from different countries, right? So you can see, like, in total, the work I put on ResearchGate, I have about what? Let's do the math here. Let's say close to what, 800, let's say 100 approximately, right? 800 reads. That is a lot of reads. Like, you're talking about human beings, 800 people. It's a lot of people. So to the USCIS people, this is an exceptional ability. Don't you agree? It is. Yeah, you sit down and think it is not. This is an exception. Even like 200 people read your work. That is a lot of human beings reading your work. So This is to encourage you if you have research work, if you have many projects, you have many theses, both bachelor's, master's, even like your PhD, whatever, you don't have the energy to publish it in top tier journal, put it on ResearchGate. And this is a true story. One of my closest friend, um, he's from Nigeria. He started PhD in his first semester. He started a process. Now he did not have any publication, and I mean any publication, right? His master's degree, he did not do any thesis. It was like written exams. So his lawyer advised him to actually, for his few mini thesis he did in school, not a master's thesis, mini thesis he did in school, he should publish everything on ResearchGate. So basically, that was all he did, and he got an approval. And even not even in his program is like sociology, not a STEM related program. It is PhD in the first semester that he started this process. And as we speak now, he has put in his green card application. So hopefully very soon he should be having his green card. You have to be smart about this process. And this is my approval notice that came in, so you can see the short time. They received it on April 13th, April 19th. I got the approval. So I'm hoping somebody would get a good news in 2024. All right, so let's talk about this quickly. Demystifying the false myth about the EB-2 NIW. So like I said, I had wrong information beforehand, and that affected how long it took me for me to be able to start this process. And I don't want you to go through the same thing. The first thing is they think it is for only PhD students, and I am a living proof. I have few people with master's degree that also did this that got the approval. So it is not for only PhD students like the USCIS people describe it, advanced degree, master's or PhD. Even if you have bachelor's, you should have 5 years experience. And I get a lot of questions about people in the PhD program saying, I want to finish my PhD program before I would put in the application. No, you don't have to. Apart from my Nigerian friend, I have a couple other friends who are in their first semester. In fact, one already started before us. He goes to SLU, PhD in chemistry. In his first semester, he also started a process way before we did, and he already has his green card. That is to tell you, you don't have to finish your PhD program before you apply for your NIW EB-2. The same for your master's. Even if you feel you have a good case based on bachelor's degree and experience, please go ahead and do it. Don't wait to finish. Take the action now. People with a lot of publications and in top tier, that is a lie. I just proved to you and I showed you all the facts. I only have 3 publications. Publications sounds funny, but and about 8 citations. That was all I had to be able to get this, and not in a top tier journal. It is the Facebook in Academia ResearchGate. I didn't have a lot of citations, just 8. Of course, this is also wrong. You don't have to have a lot of citations. Now, listen, these does not mean it is bad. If you have these things, it is perfect. But this is not the ultimate standard, right? This is not the ultimate standard. And I've shown you the proofs. This is not the ultimate standard. So whatever you feel you have, please take the risk and do profile evaluations with immigration lawyers. You don't have to have excellent grades. Of course, 3.0, anything 3.0 is great. But if you have less than 3.0, as long as you can back it up with other exceptional ability documentations, you should be good. And people studying STEM related programs, again, this is something I hear. They are only approving for people who are studying STEM related program. It is a lie. My friend did sociology. He got the approval, and I've seen on LinkedIn a lot of approvals that are not STEM related. So although I think there was a rule that came like they are focusing on STEM related program, that does not mean non-STEM programs are neglected or will be rejected. Please, if you are in non-STEM, go ahead. If you have meet the criteria, go ahead and do it. And again, people say, oh, you need a lawyer to self-petition. It is perfect. If you have the means, you have the money, go ahead with lawyers. They know the ins and the outs of all of these processes. It will be fast. But if you have the time, and again, I know firsthand people who did it by themselves and they got the approval. If you want to go through it by yourself, just feel free to reach out to me. I will help you connect with the people who did it by themselves and got the approval, and they'll help you with the materials as well. And certain immigration law firms, yeah, of course, people have perception like certain immigration law firms in the US should be the go-to firms, but no. As long as you find a lawyer with good Google reviews, check the lawyer out and see if the lawyer is good. Feel free and do it. Just take the risk. But it's better if they offer money back guarantee. But regardless, I have people who use lawyers who did not offer money back guarantee, but yet again they got the approval. So I think it's worth the shot. Just take the shot, okay? Don't just stick to just certain immigration law firms. Just shop around. Get ahead of the process. Now, you have to be intentional about planning, and I cannot stress this enough. It is very important as an international student you plan. Like, like I said, it always will not fall through, but it's better than not planning because you don't want to be caught unaware. It is the worst thing ever to be faced with as an international student. You have to be conscious about the time you have. If you have 2 years, that should give you that kind of motivation to do things within the short period of time, especially if your program is non-STEM. Then of course, you have a very much shorter time. So be intentional about planning and be conscious about time. Time flies very quickly. Again, my advice, personal advice is always have at least 2 backup plans. Just in case one fails, you've got others to rely to fall upon. Okay, you don't want to be caught unaware in the US. You don't want that to happen to you. It's not a fun experience. I've never been there. I have friends who were there, and it's not a fun experience. And of course, to get ahead of the process, start networking now. Reach out to your professors who for a very long time you have not even spoken to them. Just send hi, happy holidays, happy new year, and start building that rapport. And the same on LinkedIn. I always tell people, if you are reaching out, if you want to network, just target the CEOs, the directors, the managers, people with authority in certain companies. Again, their output or their recommendation is way heavier than an ordinary person like me. If you ask me for a recommendation, it carries little weight. So just make sure you intentionally network with people who you know or you feel like their words out there carries much weight. Because like my friend's husband who did PhD but never had any publication or citation, he had a very good recommendation that carried a lot of weight. So be intentional about the people you network with, and then create that kind of consistency in trying to communicate and stay connected with them. I'll make I'll make some videos on networking on LinkedIn because I've gone through this, and I can share some tips and bits about this as well. Well, take a little but calculated steps when building your case. Again, with being conscious about the time you have. Little is very subjective here, but all I'm just trying to say is, if you really are interested in this, start building your case. You can use my example, like what made me stand out, right? My publications and citations, my professional certifications, and then my professional membership. Those are 3 different distinct things that everyone can do. So just use my story as a practical advice to start building your case. Most important thing in the US is always seek information and clarity. Don't just say yes to what somebody shares with you. Go out and look for the right information. Even if it is the right information the person gave you, go and confirm. Because there's a lot of information out there and people are just twisting it here and there. Like I said, if I knew what I knew now, I would have really gone ahead long time ago with securing my permanent residency. So please be a student who always seek information when it comes to immigration. Not just the information, seek clarity about it. Last is, please start now. You think you have time, you don't have time. Regardless of where you are in your academic level, in your PhD, your master's, start now. Don't wait to get more citations, more publications. Start reaching out to lawyers for profile evaluation now. And I mean now. I'll be happy to see a lot of you reach out to me like, hey, 2024, I got my approval. That is what I'm looking forward to, and that is the purpose of this whole webinar or section. So, quote from Walt Disney: stop talking, start doing. And I hope you start doing. As we go in 2024, it is going to be something that you work towards, and hopefully by the end of the year, you will share with me the good news. Lastly, I just want to share a community I've created on LinkedIn. I'm going to send out the invite. Please be a member. The goal is to build a community where we support each other with resources, information, genuine information, to create the awareness that people can actually take their permanent residency in their own hands. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad and excited you came, and I hope I offered the most important experience and insight and practical advice to you. Thank you.